I think I'm really starting to love some of the weird Pokemon in Generation 1. After doing my Lickitung run, I had the thought of doing runs with the trio of weird Pokemon, Lickitung, Jynx, and Mr. Mime. A viewer requested that I do a Mr. Mime run with no special moves. After thinking about it, I don't actually think that that's possible. Mr. Mime knows Confusion from the start, and leveling up to get Double Slap with Struggle won't be possible. However, Jynx starts with Pound, so in this case it's actually possible. Mr. Mime will have to find another way to make challenging. Let's examine Jynx's stats. 50 in attack is actually manageable. I've been working with 20s in some of my previous runs. 35 in defense is pretty scary, but luckily all the strong physical attackers in this generation are also quite slow. 95 in speed is going to add a lot of consistency to this run. While I won't be using 95 in special offensively, it'll come in really handy defensively against strong special attackers like Alakazam. My move pool is surprisingly large. Access to Pound early will provide a reliable attacking move that has decent PP. After that, I'll get Body Slam and later Thrash. After playing through Pokemon Red and Blue so many times with Nidoking, stomping through the entire game with Thrash, I have very good memories of this move. I can't wait to get it and try it out in this run. Let's go over the rules quickly before I start. I'll only use Jynx in battle. I'll catch other Pokemon for HMs in order to progress through the game. However, I won't use them in battle. If Jynx faints by the opponent using self-destruct, I'll consider the battle a loss even if I win due to having other Pokemon on my team. I won't use any items in battle. I'll use items between battle and to teach Jynx new moves. I'll also use a Pokeball in battle to catch a flying type Pokemon so that I have access to fly. Here's a special rule just for this run. No Lovely Kiss. Sleep tactics make these runs luck-based and take out a lot of the fun. It's just so much more engaging that the opponent can attack you every turn. Finally, I won't use glitches. I consider the badge boost glitch to be fair game though, so I may end up using that to get through the hard fights. And with that, let's dig into it. This time I'm going to be able to make the rival have an evolution that is strong against Jynx. If I beat the rival here in the lab and avoid the fight altogether on the route west of Viridian, he'll evolve his Eevee into Flareon. When Eevee hit me for the first time in this fight, I got a bit worried. It did more damage than I expected. This 35 in defense is probably going to be an issue at some point during this run. As is tradition, I try to defeat Brock after immediately clearing Viridian Forest. Turns out a Jynx at level 10 with only Pound isn't a very serious threat to Brock's rock-type Pokemon. I head back to Viridian Forest in order to train up. Because of Jynx's low defense stat, I need to run away from the Pidgeys in here. They're a higher level than the bugs. Since they can hit me for a lot of damage, it increases the number of trips I have to make to the Pokemon Center. This will really extend the duration of my training, so I really want to avoid that. At level 17, things are starting to feel more manageable. I can get past the Geodude with decent health. However, since I've outlawed using Lovely Kiss, Bide is going to really mess me up here. I think if I can level up a few more times, I'll be able to do it. Just a bit more health will really help me out. At level 18, I got so close to taking Onix down. It does require some luck though to get to that point. I'm fairly sure that with one more level, I'll have what it takes to take him down. At level 19, I run into a seriously lucky stroke. I get 3 critical hits in a row. This allows me to take the Geodude out in quick order. Onix is next, and I'm feeling confident. My health is significantly higher than it usually is. Normally it's between 25 and 30 when I go into this fight. Unfortunately, Onix lands a 5-turn bind and takes me down. Alright, I'll stop being so stubborn and I'll level up to level 21. I actually attempted this fight many times before at level 19 and it just isn't working. Level 21 is as high as I've ever had to be to defeat Brock. Hitmonchan was my previous worst for this fight. I really hope that Jynx can do it, at least on par with where Hitmonchan was at. At level 21, I'm dealing good amount of damage to the Geodude. It's worth noting here that my health is much higher, and since I've leveled up, Geodude is actually dealing less damage to me as well. Now, I make it into the Onix fight with green health. This is looking promising. Now it's time for me to mention something that I've been thinking about while training for this fight. Bide deals back double the damage that the user has taken. Because of that, since I'm dealing more damage now, Bite is actually more of a threat than it was before, so I'll need to watch out for that. It turns out though that this isn't the case. My added health was a factor that I didn't consider. Since my health is higher now, I can afford to take more damage, and staying in the fight fewer turns against Onyx gives me a higher chance of not getting hit with Bind over and over. So level 21 it is. I wonder if there's a Pokemon out there who can't get past this fight at this level. Probably Magikarp and Ditto. Anyways, let's move on. In Mount Moon I get access to Mega Punch. This is gonna make things much easier. Also, goodbye Lovely Kiss. No more temptation to use that move. The rival fight is very easy. Spearow gets taken down with a single hit from Mega Punch. After that is the truly frightening Pokemon on his team, the sand-attacking Sandshrew. I should really do a run with Sandshrew at some point. Luckily it misses its attempt at Sand Attack and quickly goes down after that. Rattata is next, and this little guy can actually pack a serious punch with Hyper Fang. It goes down in a single hit though. After that, Eevee comes out, and I start to miss a lot here. Mega Punch really doesn't have good accuracy. I finally take it down, and I get to move on to Misty. The fight against Staryu and Starmie illustrates the point I made about Jynx's special when we initially discussed the stats. Our high special, while not offensively useful, is very useful as a defensive stat. Staryu and Starmie really can't deal much damage to us. Because of that, this fight is just a waiting game. I have to wait for Mega Punch to hit and slowly whittle down Misty's Pokemon. The SSN gives me access to Body Slam. However, because Jynx learns this through level up, I'm gonna suffer through the bad accuracy on Mega Punch and wait to learn Body Slam naturally. I've had a lot of runs that went very poorly because I taught a TM too early on. Having a bad moveset going into the Agatha fight is unacceptable, especially when we aren't using special moves. Remember the Zubat run? Yeah, never again. Surge is next. Surge's Raichu knows both Mega Punch and Mega Kick. Those will be very scary since my defense is so low. I'm confident that Jynx can tank the Thunderbolts. Growl is a bit scary. I estimate that it'll take me about 3 Mega Punches to take the Raichu down, since I'm not particularly overleveled right now. So Raichu comes out and lands a Mega Kick. Oh my. This might be a very hard fight to get past. Surge does tend to use Growl and X Speed at the least useful times, so I might be able to get past this fight with a little bit of luck on my side. Only one fight later, I get the luck I need. Since Mega Kick is far more devastating than Mega Punch, I really want Raichu to use Mega Punch. Raichu lands a Mega Punch twice, which allows me to switch into a third turn Pound. I did this because Pound has significantly more accuracy than Mega Punch. That allows me to take the Raichu down. Victory. Now for Rock Tunnel. The hiker in here with 3 self-destructing Pokemon is gonna be a serious threat. I'm honestly not sure how to get past him. The first fight against him proves that I was right to fear him. I land a 5-hit double slap the first turn and things seem to be going well. However, then it self-destructs and deals more than half health damage to me. Yikes. The second Geodude sets up Defense Curl, which makes it take even longer for me to knock it out. The longer this fight takes, the worse it is for me. Each turn gives the Geodude another chance for it to self-destruct. It finally does self-destruct and takes me down. Okay, let's see how many attempts this fight's gonna take. After 7 more fights, bringing the total to 8, I get some incredible luck. I actually take down the first Geodude without it getting a self-destruct off. Excellent. The second Geodude manages to self-destruct, but I of course survive. That means I'm moving on to the Graveler for the first time in this fight. I'm dealing good damage to the Graveler, and it's just not self-destructing. This is really going well for me. After it starts to set up Defense Curl, I switch into Double Slap, hoping for better overall damage. Just as I get it down to low red health, it goes for self-destruct and takes me out. I almost did it. Okay, let's keep going. I know I can do this. On fight 11, I finally managed to win. This fight hinges on taking the first Geodude down without it taking a self-destruct. That allows the second one to land one. After that, you have to get lucky with the Graveler. I did this in this fight, and now I can move on to the rest of the game. Well, turns out I got through that fight with very low health, so this final lass in the cave is actually going to give me a headache. I take down the Meowth and the Oddish easily, leading to her final Pidgey. Please don't no Quick Attack. Please don't know quick attack. Oh, it does. And I missed. Great. Now I've got to walk through the entire cave again. Alright, let's do this. As with all runs relying on the attack stat, rock Pokemon can be very difficult to get past. Giovanni's Onix is seriously hard to take out in Rocket Hideout. The fact that it knows Rock Throw complicates the issue. Rock moves are super effective against ice types, so we're at a serious disadvantage here. Going into the Rhyhorn fight, this just isn't going to happen. I'll take Erica out first. However, since my level may be the issue here, I might have to train up a bit before I can take Giovanni on. I do have to beat him in order to get past Snorlax. Remember, I'm not going to be using the Pokédoll glitch to skip this entire section of the game. I do consider that to be a glitch. Erica is a bit trickier than I expected. Since our attack stat is not particularly high and Tangela is very beefy, this fight takes a while. Tangela gets the chance to whittle us down slowly. While there isn't an immediate danger here, this sets Weepinbell and Gloom up for success. Weepinbell lands a single acid against us. This move does surprising amounts of damage. After that, Gloom comes out and misses a sleep powder. That's convenient. I get off my first attack and I'm one step closer to victory. Next it goes for Petal Dance and does very little damage. I take it down the next turn. It's time to face Giovanni again. Even with a couple extra levels, this fight isn't happening. Onix just deals too much damage, leaving me in a very bad position to take on the Rhyhorn. I had several fights where Onix missed a lot, and even in those cases I can't take the Rhyhorn down in time. Its constant use of Horn Attack is enough to whittle me down and take me out before I get to Persian. I'm gonna have to do a bit of training. After that, I'll see if I can come back and take him down. During this training, I learned Body Slam. With Body Slam, I'm feeling more confident. It has higher accuracy and it has more power. Because of that, I make my way back to Giovanni. Let's give this another shot. Onix comes out and immediately I realize another bonus of Body Slam. Paralysis. Body Slam is dealing more damage, but Rock Throw is still a serious threat. I get into the Rhyhorn fight with 51 HP. This is higher than last time, but not significantly so. It makes me very nervous going into this fight against Rhyhorn. It's still going to take at least 4 turns to knock it out. I get a critical hit here, and that takes the Rhyhorn down to just above half health. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about this. The guard spec that comes down next only improves my outlook for this fight. Funny enough, my next attack also paralyzes the Rhyhorn. While that doesn't impact the fight, I get through the Rhyhorn with 37 health. Persian is last. It's very fast and tends to land critical hits all the time. Luckily I outspeed it. I just need it to not knock me out in a single hit. Giovanni, in true Generation 1 AI style, uses a guard spec, and I've won. Now, it's time to move on to another key difficulties in a run like this one. We only have access to normal moves. In Generation 1, Struggle is also a normal move. Ghost Pokemon cannot take any damage from normal moves. Because of this, at first glance, it seems like this run is over. I won't be able to do any damage to the Chandler's Ghastly in Pokemon Tower. If you've seen my Butterfree without special moves run, you'll know that this isn't the case. In that run, I used the non-damage dealing move Supersonic to deal damage to the Ghastly over time. However, we don't have access to any moves that can cause confusion with Jynx. But we do have access to Bide. This TM is honestly useless in normal gameplay, but today it's gonna save our run. Bide deals damage back to the opponent's Pokemon, and that damage is typeless, so we can deal with the Ghastly. This brings up the issue of Agatha, and I alluded to that at the start of the script. Funny enough though, there are a few more tools at our disposal in order to deal with her. I'll cover those when we get there. For now, let's move on to Pokemon Tower. The rival here consists of a series of one-hits, with the exception of Shelder, which misses its Supersonic. After that, it's on to the pesky Chandler. I expect these fights to be brutal. The first Chandler is the opposite. While I do end up losing, look how simply the first Ghastly goes down. Alright, this is going to be much easier than with Butterfree. The second Chandler is one of the closest fights I've ever had. If she had 2 Ghastly, I would not have won this fight. Moving on from the Chandler, the Marowak isn't an issue. We've now obtained the Pokeflute. Let's head down to Fuchsia and take Koga out. The first fight is very telling. I'm not able to deal much damage to the Venonats, but they can't deal much damage to me either. My psychic type helps me resist most of their attacks. The only issue here is that they use toxic. The best way for me to get around this is to teach Jynx rest. Rest will allow me to heal the status condition, and since the Venonats can't deal significant damage each turn, this will allow me to get to the Venomoth fight with good health. That's all theoretical, of course. Let's see how it goes in practice. Having rest gets the job done. The first 2 Venonats go down without an issue. The third Venonat provides an opportunity for me to heal up before Venomoth. I level up and learn Thrash. I think I got a bit excited here and went for Thrash when it might have been best to not lock myself into the move. Venomoth knows Leech Life, which I honestly didn't even think about. But Jynx is a psychic type, so this does significant damage to us while healing the Venomoth. Luckily 3 hits from Thrash is enough to take the Venomoth down. I've earned my 5th badge. Time to take on Sylph. Then I can grab Lapras and make my way to either Blaine or Sabrina. The next fight is the rival at Sylphco. I get a lucky paralysis against Sandslash. That makes the fight a bit easier. Cloyster's up next. It's not particularly strong because of my typing. Magneton gives me a chance to heal up. This is the first fight where the rival has Flareon. I want to be really careful against it. Kadabra can't really do anything to us because of its typing. Flareon comes out, and I hit it with a massive body slam. Okay, I just need to survive. Fire Spin. Great. This could be really bad. Yep, it is. 5 turns in a row. I land another body slam, but it doesn't take the Flareon down. With only 22 HP left over, I'm really not confident about this fight. But Fire Spin doesn't last long enough, and I get to attack again. That was really close. I think this fight against him is going to be very hard when he is champion. The Flareon will have Flamethrower, and that will likely be able to one-hit us. This time around, Giovanni isn't the threat he was before. During this fight, I realized that I could have just taught Jynx rest before that fight. I tend to miss key tactics during these runs. Right now, I'm actually planning my most ambitious challenge yet while I'm filming this run. I'm thinking of doing a run without using any damage dealing moves at all. I'm currently planning which Pokemon would be the best for this run, so if you've got any ideas, let me know. That one I'll have to think through all my tactics ahead of time, so I hope to not have any mistakes like this in that run. Sabrina is next. The fact that we're both psychic types is going to make this fight really easy. She won't be able to do massive damage to me, and my physical attacks should deal good damage to her Pokemon, since they have frail defenses. Abra goes down in a single hit, Kadabra does take 2. After that, Alakazam trolls me for a while. Watch it get X-Defend into Recover into Barrier. Yikes, that took way longer than it should have. This was definitely the easiest Sabrina fight I've had. I wasn't even slightly worried at any point during the fight. Okay, so now we've reached Blaine. This is going to be tough. He's the first gym leader to have a significant type advantage over our Jynx. While Brock did have a type advantage, he doesn't actually have any rock moves, so I won't be counting him. The first fight against Blaine goes pretty well. I take down both Ninetales and Rapidash, but Arcanine's Flamethrower can one-hit me. On top of that, I got very lucky with Paralysis. With the amount of damage I'm dealing to Arcanine with each hit, I think I need to investigate a new strategy. I've decided that Toxic was probably the best option. Ninetales and Rapidash can be tricky to get by, but stalling them out, I'm fairly consistent. That allows me to get to Arcanine. At this point, it's just luck, and that unfortunately, I'm not getting any of. Every time Arcanine hits me with a fire move, I immediately go down. It's a higher level than me, so I guess it's time to go train. I reset so that I didn't use the Toxic TM, and I begin my training spree. At level 58, I come back. Ninetales and Rapidash are significantly more manageable now. However, Arcanine is still getting its hits off consistently. At this point, I realized what I needed to do. Consistency of damage is a big issue in this fight. Growl from Rapidash ends my chances against Arcanine. Arcanine also knows Reflect. However, if I teach Jynx Seismic Toss, that will allow me to deal consistent damage each turn and make the fight more predictable. Funny enough, the very first time I employed this strategy, I got the win. Alright, Thinking wins the day. Giovanni is hard. My moveset here is important. I need to keep Bide for Agatha. On top of that, I need Reflect to ensure that Giovanni's Earthquakes are doing as little damage as possible to me. I need to have the ability to use Rest against his first 4 Pokemon. Rhydon is the intimidating Pokemon on his team. It knows Rock Slide, and this is probably the scariest move out there for my Jynx. It's super effective and physical. I had to fight him 48 times in order to get this outcome. I need to get into the Rhydon fight with high health. Then, because of my level, Seismic Toss requires 4 hits to take the Rhydon down. Giovanni usually uses a guard spec on its first turn, so that means I always get 2 turns of damage in. If my health is high, I can survive the next hit with extremely low red health. If he gets a critical hit here, the fight is over. Then, because Rock Slide doesn't have full accuracy, I need to luck out and have Giovanni miss on the final turn in order to take the victory. 48 times in order for that to happen. If I was being less stubborn, I would have just leveled up a few times in order to deal more damage with Seismic Toss. But I really wanted to face the Elite Four at the lowest level possible. So I forgot to switch my moveset before battling the final rival before the league. Funny enough, Seismic Toss gets the job done. I'm feeling more optimistic about the champion now. While I let that fight play, let's discuss the league. I'll teach Jynx submission for Lorelei. Since we share typing, I don't expect her to be particularly difficult. Submission will also help against Bruno. His Onix knows Rock Slide, so I'll have to be very careful about that. For Agatha, I've prepared a special strategy. You'll probably think it's almost hopeless with only Bide, but I actually believe this is going to be very doable. I'll show you that one when we get there. Lance could be hard. I think I'll need to avoid Hyper Beam for most of his Pokemon, and Aerodactyl is going to be absolutely a nightmare. He would be easy if I had access to ice moves, of course. The champion shouldn't be a problem after, however, because the last fight with him went really well. Do you think I can do it? Okay, let's go. Early on against Lorelei, I realized my mistake. Submission does recoil, and it just isn't dealing enough damage to our Pokemon. However, I'm not taking much damage every turn. In addition to that, I'm also getting stuck in a lot of multi-turn moves from Cloyster. This birthed a new idea. Use Toxics to stall out all of her Pokemon. The first fight I used this strategy, I won. However, I forgot to record it, so you're going to be watching my second fight with this strategy, which I also won. I think this is an incredibly consistent strategy against her. Alright, moving on to Bruno, who might actually be a bit scary. Okay, Bruno opens with Onix. Despite what I thought, this Onix moveset actually has Rock Slide. That's very bad. I start off with Toxic. I really need to stall out his Pokemon. Body Slam just doesn't deal enough damage for me to rely on it. Submission wouldn't work well here because he is capable of dealing so much damage to me every turn with Rock Slide. Because he went for Dig first turn, I switch into Bide to get off some big damage. Funny enough, Bruno switches into X Defend for the next 2 turns, which really helps me survive and use a 3-turn Bide. After that, I pay the damage back and knock out the first Onix in a single turn. Hitmonchan is next. As I noted, in my Hitmonchan run, it has incredibly low special, so none of its moves are very scary. I go for Body Slam and I take it down in 2 turns. I like to get Hitmonlee out of the way as fast as possible, as well, since it knows High Jump Kick. It's worth noting, in Generation 1 it's bugged, so it doesn't take hardly any recoil damage if it misses. The next Onix is so scary. So I want to come out of the fight with Hitmonlee with decent health so that I can get off a turn 1 Toxic against the Onix. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's in the cards for me right now. I take down the Hitmonlee and then set up Toxic against Onix. It uses Rock Slide. Okay, fingers crossed, I really need to survive this. Whoa, 23 HP, okay good. I can get the rest off and stall this Onix out. Machamp is so scary. Leer is actually really intimidating this time, as well as the other moves, since they are all physical. Luckily, it just isn't dealing enough damage to me each turn, so my turn 1 Toxic is able to stall it out completely. This Bruno fight actually took me 7 attempts. This is definitely the hardest Bruno has ever been in any of the runs that I've done so far. After a brutal Bruno fight, things don't get better. The next fight is the one I've been most scared for, Agatha. Here's my strategy. Teach Jynx Mimic and steal Golbat's Wing Attack. I'll use my PP ups on Bide and Wing Attack so I have as much PP as possible. Against the first Gengar, I'll use Bide and hope for good luck against it. Its use of Substitute can really stall me out and create a lot of problems with PP. When Agatha switches into Golbat, I'll steal Wing Attack and try to brute force it down with Body Slam as fast as possible. Luckily, due to my typing, I take very little damage from Mega Drain, Psychic, and Dream Eater. Without that, I think this fight would have taken much longer than it did. In the end, after 16 attempts, I'm able to take Agatha out and progress onto Lance. Funny enough, I thought Agatha was going to be the hardest trainer here, but so far Bruno has been the worst. However, I'm faced with a challenge now. My moveset is terrible. I'm not entirely sure how I'll defeat Lance and the champion without Toxic. Gyarados isn't so bad. I can use Bide against it and tank its Hyper Beams and Hydro Pumps and take it down in a single hit when I unleash energy. The following Dragonairs give me a chance to heal and mimic Hyper Beam. This generally takes a little while to set up properly. Aerodactyl is very scary, so I want to exit the Dragonair fights with decent health. Once Aerodactyl comes out, the fight gets really hard. The issue here is that healing is very inconsistent. I also don't want to use Hyper Beam because I won't knock Aerodactyl out in a single turn. In the end, I choose to attack with Body Slam and attempt to trigger Paralysis. If my health gets too low, where a Wing Attack or Swift will knock me out, I heal. I just have to hope that Aerodactyl doesn't go for Hyper Beam. On the third turn of Body Slam, I get Paralysis, and I use that moment to heal. Perhaps if he misses due to Paralysis a few times, I can enter the Dragonite fight with decent health. He misses not once, but twice, allowing me to head to the Dragonite fight with green health. Dragonite will always use Fire Blast. Because it can't run out of PP, there is no point trying to stall it. I faint after 3 hits from Fire Blast. 2 factors can align to give us the victory though. 1. Dragonite can miss with Fire Blast, which gives me an extra turn to either attack or wake up from sleep. 2. I can land Paralysis with Body Slam, causing Dragonite to be much less consistent. In this fight, I land Paralysis first turn. Thank my lucky stars. After that, I use Body Slam 2 more times, hoping that Dragonite will miss. It doesn't, and it takes me down to 1 HP. On top of that, it burns me. Right now is really not the time that I need Generation 1's 1 in 256 chance to miss. I get the hit and take Dragonite down. That was really challenging. Now, I've got to take this terrible moveset into the champion fight. Let's first examine one of the possible ways the fight can go. I can grab Earthquake from Sandslash, which sets me up for a very easy battle. Sandslash and Alakazam go down without issues, leading to Exeggutor. As is normal, Exeggutor can't do much damage to us. It gives us a chance to heal up, and it sets up Leech Seed. This is the real issue. Leech Seed makes the next Magneton fight pretty hard, and having to buy time for rests is very bad. Magneton knows Screech, and that is extremely bad for our fight against Cloyster. This is where things come to a halt. Cloyster is basically impossible to take out with this moveset, because of the constant healing that Leech Seed provides. To make things worse, the Screeches set up by Magneton make Cloyster's Spike Cannon deal massive damage to us. The path to victory here is a bit more complex than I initially thought it would be. I need to use Bide against Sandslash. It tends to do a lot of damage, and Bide allows me to take it down in a single hit, preserving PP for the rest of the fight. Alakazam is next, and Body Slam will make quick work of it, in either 1 or 2 hits. With perfect luck, it goes down without getting a Kinesis off, but that isn't the end of the battle if it does land 1. Once Exeggutor comes out, I spam Body Slam. Spamming Body Slam allows for paralysis in some cases, which raises the chance that Exeggutor won't get a Leech Seed off. This is critical. In this fight, I actually prevent Executor from using a move at all. Magneton is next. I'm going to try to spam Body Slam and get a paralysis here as well. Unfortunately, that doesn't play out, and I take a Screech before knocking the Magneton out. Because Screech makes me more vulnerable to Spike Cannon, I have to be a bit more careful now. Against Cloyster, I get another lucky paralysis, which sets me up for success. I have to spend a decent amount of time healing before I get my opportunity to strike back. I go for Mimic here in order to learn Spike Cannon, which I can use to knock Cloyster out. Flareon is last. I need to survive a Flamethrower in order to win. Flareon goes for Flamethrower first. Can I do it? I survive, and with that I've become the champion with a Jynx, using only physical moves. This challenge was way harder than I expected. Brock, Blaine, Giovanni, Bruno, Agatha, Lance, and the champion were all tricky fights. If I could go back and do it again, I probably would have used Submission against Giovanni the first time. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any ideas for challenges I should do in the future, let me know. Up next, I'm thinking of working on my Zubat in yellow version, or a Sandshrew run. Let me know which one you might prefer. See you in the next challenge.